Hey photographers, how's everybody doing? I wanted to go ahead and give you some feedback on the assignments that have been turned in so far. Excuse me. So here's where we found our assignment in coursework. And we are down on Unit 2, which was the photo walk. And we had some notes, and wow, we had a lot of videos this week. I mean, a couple really big ones. And I don't expect you to understand all of this immediately. This is going to take practice, but you have this information to refer back to as often as you need. And the more you experiment with those settings on your camera for raw files and manual settings, the more these videos are going to make sense to you. So I encourage you to keep experimenting to get the most out of this class. Okay, this is about ProCam 8 if you're using your phone. And then here's a little blurb about some additional options that are for Android phones. Okay, and now we're going to go up to the discussion board and look at our work. So far it looks like I've got 4 people that have turned in. Okay, and I have saved your pictures, and I'm really pleased with the feedback that everybody's gotten. That said, I want to try and show you about how to talk about photography. I mean, we're already learning so many things. We're learning, oh, I see your use of shutter speed. You used a slow shutter, because you have blur. Oh, I see your use of aperture. You've got a shallow depth of field so that your background is blurred. Or you've got a huge, deep depth of field where you can see everything throughout the distance all clear. So that would be a smaller aperture. So things like that. And now we've got compositional rules we can talk about. So let's take a look at our pictures for this week for everyone. And let's see, Ivy was first, Ivy, then Sydney, then Melissa, then Holly. Okay, so we'll look at Ivy first. I'm just going to make my screen bigger. Maybe. Maybe not. I guess it's not happy with me. Okay, so I gotta make Ivy's picture smaller. There we go. Okay, so this is all Ivy's first picture. I'll move myself out of the way. Gorgeous, gorgeous Ivy. I see your artist's eye here. I see that you've got clarity in the foreground. So this is a really shallow depth of field. I can't say it's perfectly focused, but I don't care. I mean, it looks like a painting to me, and I think it's beautiful. I love the blurred out background, like these dots of light are called bokeh or bokeh, however you want to pronounce that, but gorgeous, gorgeous image. And let's see, number 2. Look at this little guy. Is that a guinea fowl or a turkey? I'm not sure. Pardon my ignorance of some bird-like creatures. But I like how this one is centered. I like the shadow. I like how it looks like there's almost like a crown or a peacock tail behind the bird. Very cute. And then this one is, very well centered. You've provided interest with, things in the foreground and blurred out grass in the background. And, little buddy is posing really good there for you. So this, I would say, is keeping it simple, centering your image. It could also be rule of thirds as far as where the eyes are placed. So there's so many things we could talk about. Okay, this one, the peacock, I love, of course it's a gorgeous bird. We've got a nice plain background, keeping it simple. I noticed that someone said that this kind of, this information in the background kind of distracts from what we really want to look at, which is the bird. But I like how you shot it vertically, and this is the kind of thing that actually could be removed in Photoshop, and we'll get into that. I'm going to make a video about editing for week 3. So you get an idea of, what I'm looking for that. Okay, again, gorgeous. I love the kind of leading line that the flowers are creating, almost like a dot to dot. And same thing is happening over here. It's centered, yet I would call this almost asymmetrical, because most of the focal point, with the bright colors is on the left. But again, super well done. Beautiful. Okay, and here is Ivy's sunset. Oh, Ivy, you have no idea how much I appreciate a straight horizon. That's one of those things that has been pounded into my brain. And I used to, think it was kind of an amateur move to go with, a diagonal horizon. But I never really knew why. And turns out I was right. But just because, that's what my professors say, fix that horizon. And I like how when I'm looking at this image, there's, these little areas of detail that catch my interest and keep my eye moving throughout the image. So, very nicely done. Okay, here's another sunset by Ivy. Ivy, how did you know? How did you know how important this straight horizon would be to me? So this is a low horizon, so we get more of the sky, gorgeous colors, beautiful photograph. I should probably figure out how to do a slideshow. It'd be easier. This is interesting too. I mean, it's almost another like dot to dot, follow the information. I like the background, the context in the background. I like how we have one chicken that's clear in focus, or rooster. So we know what the subject is, but there's still plenty of other things to look at. We've got this cool kind of leading line that's leading us throughout the image, the edge of the grass. Here we have leading lines. So, great work. And the funniest thing about this, hey, I don't know if you noticed this in the compositional rules, but it was something about giving your subject room to move. So here you've got, I guess this is a teenage chicken, and you've given your chicken room over here to, kind of like we picture it mentally running through the space. And here he's got room to do that, he or she. And we also have context back here. Might be a little bit busy, but I don't mind it. Okay, now this one, I think we've got some interesting information back here. I love this little sign. I love how this chicken is nice and clear, and we can see some background image. The background details. The only thing that bothers me is this. It kind of, for me, the wording competes with the star of the show. So for me, that would probably be the one that I would retake. Everything else looks great. Okay, now, who did we have next? Sid. Okay, here we go with Sid. And I can tell that this is probably like a misty morning because it appears, you know, misty and foggy. And I kind of think that goes great with this little statue. And you've centered it nicely. You've got a nice straight horizon in the background, so very good. And let's see. I really like this one. There's a couple things about it that I really like. Okay, number one, you're kind of using rule of thirds here. You know, rule of thirds in general doesn't have to be placed exactly on the 1/3. It can be move it off center. Okay, so the subject is off center here, off center horizontally and vertically. And then we've got the trees that are kind of wonderfully framing this water tower. So I love that. Even in the clouds, we're getting some framing. So that's great. And then here's Sid's magnolia. So for me, I love the clarity in the foreground and the blur in the background. I kind of feel like the magnolia itself is a little bit washed out. I mean, this was a hard shot because you'd almost have to have a smaller aperture to get this in clear because it's so bright. And that's my only suggestion for this one. Other than that, I appreciate the depth of field and your subject is centered. And so I understand those guidelines in use. Okay, here we got great leading lines. This is what I always think of when I think of leading lines, you know, following the train track into the distance and how it gets narrower and narrower. And here we actually have a train. Other than that, I like that the horizon's straight. It's a little bit busy, but I still like it. Okay, here we've got again leading lines with this sidewalk going into the distance. I like all of our little guys in a row here, getting smaller and smaller in the distance. That's also a leading line. We're kind of lacking interest here. There's so much, you know, green grass. So I can't say it's my favorite, but I do see the leading lines. And we aren't just getting started here after all. We can't be experts from the get-go. Here we have again leading lines. And I can tell you we're having some cloudy weather. It's often hard to get beautiful images without nice lighting, you know. But this one's nicely done. Here in the sky, we've got your highlights are a little bit blown out. This picture's a little bit bright. So I might have maybe made the aperture smaller. We're going to get into these things a lot more, but I can show you how to fix this up in Photoshop, which we're going to be doing this week. This is just kind of like I love the angles. It's almost a look and see, but I see the leading lines, so it's an interesting piece of architecture. And then this one is very nice. You know, at first glance, it's a very small town. We've got only, you know, the main street going on here. We've got nice leading lines. There is some interest. I probably would brighten this up in Photoshop, and I'll be showing you that too. Okay, I think I remember correctly, this is also leading lines. I see the leading lines. And I totally get that, just going on a walk around town can be difficult to find things of interest, but I think you've done a very good job. Okay, now this appears to me to be framing. I should be looking back at your notes, but I see some framing in between the trees. However, I don't know what's exciting about between the trees. I would call this more leading lines, and that's totally fine. So I think very interesting work for the first week. And next we've got Melissa. Okay, Melissa, you know already that I love turtles. I am just like, in love with turtles. And this is a beautiful turtle. It's so cute that he's hiding inside there and that you were able to capture him. I love your depth of field, how your focus is kind of in the distance and right on the turtle shell. Super, super clarity here. So that's a beautiful shallow depth of field. And it is a little off center. We've got leading lines here. So much going on here. Beautiful image. And then this is another one. I don't recognize this plant. Must be some kind of a winter berry, I'm guessing. So again, really shallow focus, just here on the branch, and then just a few things coming in. But this little dot-to-dot pattern of the berries, I love it. And the colors are nice and rich. Beautiful. This one's interesting to me as well. I think with your shallow depth of field, you kind of captured the repetition of these kind of little star or asterisk or, almost like firework shapes throughout. And I really like that. Okay, here we've totally got symmetry in this building. And I think it's fascinating to capture a building, like a historic building like this one seems to be. And with perfect symmetry. I might work a little bit on the clarity. I wonder if it was a foggy morning or day. But I can show you how to fix that in my tutorial, which should be by probably Wednesday. Okay, here again we've got symmetry. I love the kind of anthropomorphic character of this building. Bless you. Like how these windows with their awnings look like eyes and eyelashes. And we've got a nose and a mouth and a hat. So cute. And well centered and very nice and straight. Again, we've got this gorgeous historical building, very nicely centered, symmetrical, fascinating. Here in the sky, we've got a little bit of a blown out sky, but I can show you how to work on that. Beautiful colors. And I actually find this image really interesting. It's almost like a juxtaposition, a door, and I guess this is a hydrant. And so it's kind of asymmetrical because one side is larger. There's still a point of interest on the other side, but they kind of work because they balance each other out. And how the bricks look different is interesting to me. And then we've got this detail in the foreground. I think it's a very interesting image. I enjoy it. And then again, we've got another one of those kind of asymmetrical. And I'm so happy you got this part straight. Obviously, this is on like a slanted hill, which I don't mind at all. And then we've got this competing with, you know, like this black spot. So I think that's interesting too. I might punch up the colors a little bit, you know, increase saturation, and I'll be showing you that this week. Okay, this is just plain out gorgeous. Beautiful depth of field, clarity, simplicity, centered, and then we've got, you know, this little bud back here just to take our eye throughout the image. So, very nice. And then I kind of love this one too. I love how you recognized all the different patterns that were going on. You know, we've got all this direction taking us through. Oh my gosh, where are we going? It's like an Escher, an Escher print where, you know, we don't know what direction we're supposed to be going, and there's so many ways of looking at it. Got lots of repetition, we've got centering, we've got asymmetrical balance. So very nice. And last but not least, here's Holly. Holly and her fur babies. I gotta tell you something a little bit funny. So the first college class that I took in photography was in 2003. And I still know that professor. I still kind of chat with him on Instagram. But he told us on day one, we are not allowed to take pictures of animals because everybody loves animals. They're always cute. So that's cheating. And we're not allowed to take pictures of babies because everyone loves babies and they're so cute. And therefore, it's not a challenge. But, you know, I'm not that person. I love looking at your fur babies. And if that is the most exciting thing for you to take a picture of, then so be it. You know, we'll get that best picture that you've ever taken of your animals. And we'll learn how to, make the most of them. I am a little curious about, I mean, of course he's adorable. I'm a little curious about what is this? Is there some kind of doorway here? Or I just can't even tell what's happening. Almost looks like it's turf grass on this side and real grass here. So I'm not sure, but I appreciate your nice shallow depth of field. And I noticed that you got clarity on one eye, but not the other. So better one than nothing. So you did get the clarity on the right place here. And we've got a fairly straight horizon. So well done, Holly. And look at this little baby coming up to the window that I don't understand. Again, we've got a nice shallow depth of field. This one is a little bit slanted for me, so I'll show you how to fix that by straightening in our tutorial for this week. So you might want to just watch your videos and wait till you do your editing until you see that. This is adorable, but a couple things I want to point out. First of all, well done getting that clarity. Lovely shallow depth of field, nice straight horizon. But when you're taking a picture of a body, whether it's animal, human, whatever, doll, whatever has a body, careful not to cut things off. That is one of those things that it's kind of like upsetting to our brain. You know, I mean, this is, if you were going to go with a close-up of just his head, then that would be fine. But when you're showing the body, make sure you get, you know, the full limbs in the image. And that's just, I know the name of the rule, I can't remember what it is, but it's a good rule to remember. Okay, here I think we've got leading lines. Such an interesting stormy sky, nice and straight. Good job. And oh my gosh, Holly, your cows are so precious. I could cry. Look at those faces. And the baby. So I like how, I can't really tell. I mean, my attention is most divided between these two. And then I go to the baby. So it's like leading my eyes from one to the other around the image until I catch the baby. And then we've got this leading line, you know, the pattern of the cows repeating. So very interesting image. Gotta love those cows. Oh, this is adorable. Okay, again, we've got this great directional face. So this profile leads our eyes throughout the image, and we want to come back around and look at each one again and all the different colors. And then, you know, we've got this interesting branch up here, which kind of relates to the colors of the cows, right? So then we get a triangle and, you know, very interesting again. Oh, this guy. Oh, so cute. Or girl. I'm not sure how to tell the difference if they don't have horns. But it's very nice. Very nice how we have this superstar, and it leads to one in the middle ground, and then we get in the, you know, in the distance. I would only correct this horizon line. Clouds are beautifully captured. And this is another one. Beautiful. I love how you singled out, you know, what's in the foreground, and then we get this wonderful line in the background of, you know, what's in the distance, in such a beautiful shallow depth of field and blur. Very interesting image. Again, you know, so much yellow. It's just kind of fascinating how you immediately pick out the butterfly, even though there's so much yellow. You could get lost in there. But I think the fact that it's on the rule of thirds, you know, or pretty close to off-center vertically, off-center horizontally, very nice. I would only straighten this horizon. Okay, so this is, you know, what, the elephant in the room. I think you're starting to get how I feel about straight horizons. So the horizon you're in your foreground, I mean, you can't really call this the horizon. It's like the edge of the pond. How did you get that pond so blue? You must have edited. But in the distance, where land meets sky, or where the ocean meets the sky, that is our horizon. So you want to straighten that out, because this kind of looks amateur. And it's okay, because we are amateurs right now. We are. But I'm going to show you really easy ways to fix that in my video by Wednesday. Hey everybody, I think you kind of get the idea of what I'm looking for, and a little bit more about how to talk about photography. So I hope this was helpful, and oh, it's getting dark here. So I will talk to y'all soon and get those grades in for you as soon as I can.